Floating enough?
Yes.
You all right?
Can you make it water?
Volume. I think it's under.
No more. Yeah, I can. Right. Very well. Stay with us. Have a seat. This is for me. I'm not being fair to your
What time is it?
Times US 5:57.
Thank you. Can you do me a favor? Can you let me know when it's 6 o'clock? Please. Yes, please. Oh. That's all right. Got it? Okay. You're good? Six. Thank you.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, how I first believed. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. Like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. My God, my Savior, so me, and that's all. His mercy, grace, amazing grace. Shall soon dissolve like snow. The sun forbear to shine. My God, who called me here below, will be forever. My chains are gone, I'm set free. My God, my Savior, has ransomed me. His mercy unending love, amazing grace. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Good evening. On behalf of the Grieco and Hart families, I would like to thank you all for being here. We are all here today to celebrate the life of Sarah and to reflect on the many ways she has made a lasting and loving impact on our lives. In order to begin our celebration, please join me in prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Pat, and I, along with many of our lifelong friends who are here tonight, have known Gary since childhood and have had the pleasure to know Sarah for almost 30 years. As all of you know, Sarah was an easygoing, fun-loving person, a free spirit who brought her Southern hospitality into our lives with the meals that she cooked and with the parties that she and Gary hosted. And looking back on the parties and get-togethers that we had all over the years with Gary and Sarah, she was always a life at a party. Whether it was dressing up as Lady Godiva or one of the Greco's Mardi Gras parties, but dressing up as an angel, which she most certainly was, at Halloween parties, or just chilling with all of us at backyard get-togethers. Sarah was the kind of person that always made you feel comfortable when you were around her. And she was always there for you if you needed someone to talk to. We will all miss Sarah's physical presence, but she will always remain spiritually in our heart of hearts.
Hello, good evening. I'm Lisa Greco. I've known Sarah for over 20 years. I'm married to Brian Greco, and she's always been like a second mother to me. We have a poem called Epitaph by Merritt Malloy. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live on in your eyes and not on in your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands and letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for coming to the celebration of life. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Matthew Greco. I'm Sarah's stepson, and I met Sarah about 30 some odd years ago as she was getting ready to and eventually married my father, which they just had celebrated their 29th wedding anniversary very recently, just this month. I wanted to tell you all that I did have some issues writing this speech, not because of a lack of things to say about Sarah. I spent the vast majority of my life with her and growing up with her, my father, my mother. You know, she was a very big influence in my life. The whole time that I was working on this speech, I had her voice in the back of my head saying, "Go on, Matsu, you got this." You know, it's always that positive spirit that she had. I think that the biggest thing that I could tell everyone here about Sarah, or as her grandchildren called her Mima, is that what you saw of her when you interacted with her was her. She didn't put on a front. She didn't act differently than how she was. What you got was her. And she was an amazing person. And we have a few other people here with Pat. I know my Aunt Maria is coming in, and they're all going to tell you these wonderful things about her. And just know that that was the true her. Every person has it. One of the biggest things that I'm going to be remembering is her relationship with me and with her grandkids. Tonight we have here Michael, my nephew. Earlier tonight we had Chaim, David, and Mayor. My son Chaim is still here. And I have loads of memories of her running around the backyard, tickling all of them, getting them to get her to tickle their bellies all the time. And she was always running circles around them. I don't know how she did it. But she made that house a wonderful place for all of her family to go to, whether it's her family down in Ocala, her family up here, the Grieco family, everybody who came over, they had a wonderful time and a wonderful, loving house to go to. And I think one of the traditions that she started was every year she and my father would get a humongous tree, a beautiful formal Christmas tree in their formal dining room, and it would be very beautifully decorated with all these ornaments and lights from their history, from their everything that they did. There's ornaments from New Orleans, from Ocala, all these different things. But a couple of years ago, she wanted to get a boy's, a cousin's Christmas tree. So it started out about yay tall. It's grown over the years as the grandchildren grew. But each year it was ornaments that was very, very much touched her heart. Like she wanted this to be something that was just for the boys. They picked out the Christmas tree. They had ornaments that were very specific to them. And they were the ones, there was a whole day about it where they would all decorate it together. And it was in the living room where she and my father would watch TV. So it would be right next to them where they ate dinner. And it was very close to her. And I think that's the kind of thing that I'm going to be thinking about when I think of Mima. And I'm grateful to have all these memories. Thank you all.
Hi, everyone. I am Maria, Gary Greco's sister, and a longtime friend of Sarah's. I'm going to start off, and I'm going to read this because I don't want to cry. I don't want to look at everything. Sarah Ann Greco, her maiden name was Hart. To know Sarah, you would say how perfectly appropriate her maiden name is because Sarah had the biggest heart in so many ways. When you would see something with a heart, you thought, must get that for Sarah. Heart pajamas, heart t-shirts, heart tea kettle, heart mugs. Sarah had hearts galore. She and her sisters would find hearts everywhere. And the excitement of seeing them find them was heartwarming to see. Hearts can be found in nature, the shape of a leaf or a tree limb, and the foam of a latte coffee on the side of a park bench. Lou said she recently made bacon, and the two slices of cooked bacon nestled together formed a perfect heart. I will continue to see those hearts everywhere, whether it be a piece of sea glass in the sand in the shape of a heart, or a heart-shaped cloud. Or my pasta dish last night was heart-shaped raviolis. I will always smile and think, thank you, Sarah. Recently, my sister Liz sent Sarah a t-shirt with the inscription, sunshine mixed with a little hurricane. Sarah was sunshine, pure, bright, full of energy, and ready for the next adventure. Warm, easy to be with. She was the light in the room without taking the attention away from others. She cared. She was a great listener. She thanked you for calling to see how she was feeling. She inspired others without even knowing or trying. Sarah's smile was contagious to all who knew her and surrounded her. On most days, Sarah would be to outsiders as the girl next door, cooking her red beans and rice on Monday, enjoying her home and life with her loving husband and waiting for the kids and grandkids to come over. But don't underestimate her. Here comes the hurricane part. Sarah will be the first one to dress as a zombie for her Zumba class. The first one to get up and dance when the music starts, and she will be the first one up for the challenge. She had the determination, enthusiasm, and the spirit that was needed to get it done. She took up karate and didn't stop till she achieved her black belt. She plunged into icy cold water with the Polar Bear Plunge fundraiser, or Zumba for the cure, or Alzheimer's awareness. Sarah would get a twinkle in her eye, a slight grin, and you never could predict what was coming next. We all know Sarah loved music and loved to dance. If she wasn't dancing, we were sitting in Cape Paul's restaurant in New Orleans, and a brass band came marching through the restaurant. And before we knew it, she was up and dancing all by herself. And we and the rest of the guests were all clapping along. She gets her purple, green, and gold tutu on, and she is strutting alongside the Mardi Gras parade. She even did a second line at her wedding in her beautiful white wedding dress and cowboy boots. Sarah had her own distinctive style. But I am getting way ahead of myself. Let me first tell you how Sarah came into my life. I met Sarah in the early 80s through a wonderful mutual friend, Janet, who has texted her almost every day in the last 11 months. Fast forward to March 3rd, 1991. Gary was visiting me in New Orleans and staying at our apartment we had above our store in the French Quarter. Janet and I decided to play matchmakers. We thought maybe they'd get along, maybe they'd enjoy or recognize they had some things in common. We decided we would all go out to eat at Louisiana Pizza Kitchen that night. Of course, Gary and Sarah were included. Later that evening, after we all left and arrived home, Gary called me and asked, "Is Sarah dating anyone?" Sarah called Janet and asked, "Is Gary single?" Janet and I had grins from ear to ear. We thought we were the cupids that shot the arrow. It was a match made in heaven. Little did we realize we were a minute part of a bigger plan from a higher power. We were just connecting the dots. The beginning of a beautiful love story. They kissed all the time. Like so much that we started photographing at family gatherings. Oh, there's Gary and Sarah kissing again. 10 years passed and they returned to New Orleans to celebrate their 10-year anniversary. We all were there to celebrate with them. My niece Adrienne came up with the idea of a book of kisses. It had red hot chili peppers on the cover titled "A Hot Little Couple." We all provided the pictures and she created and presented them with a 10-year anniversary book of all their kiss photos. They never stopped kissing. Sarah had a joy to be, a French saying for a love and joy of life. She enjoyed the moment. In this fast and ever-changing world, it is a challenge just to be and enjoy the moment. Sarah seemed to do it without effort. In Louisiana, we say, laissez le bon temps rouler, a Cajun French phrase for let the good times roll. And Sarah knew how to have a good time. Sarah loved deeply. She loved her husband, Gary, of 29 years of marriage. She loved her siblings. She loved her stepsons, Matt and Brian, and their loving wives, and loved and adored and couldn't say enough about her grandchildren, Michael, Chaim, David, and Mayor. And she had many, many friends and loved her girl time. Sarah fought hard this past year with that same determination and strength that she would with any other challenge she had to confront, staying positive, well above and beyond the obstacles that kept coming at her. She was a warrior, and we all were amazed by her bravery. When I think of Sarah, I want to remember that beautiful smile, that youthful spirit. The appreciation of every moment. I want to remember to have fun, to listen better to others, get up and dance when you feel the beat, wear those cowboy boots with your wedding dress, and remember to have love and joy in your life. Till we meet again, my sister-in-law and friend, I know you're dancing in heaven. Laissez le bon temps rouler, let the good times roll.
So I'm Kelly McLean, and as many of you know, Sarah worked at Deloitte for 18 years. I was lucky enough to transfer from one of our New York offices and work with Sarah for 8 of those years. From the moment we met, we clicked. We had a similar sense of humor, loved to laugh at everybody and just about everything. We both have a very unique fashion sense, which includes edgy hairstyles, edgy hair colors, and a love for funky cowboy boots. And even when Sarah retired, it definitely wasn't out of sight, out of mind. We were friends for the long haul. What I'll remember the most about Sarah was how energetic and full of life she was. She was my workout buddy. Until she retired, Sarah and I worked out together almost every weekday. She was my encourager, the enforcer. I'd get an instant message 5 minutes before class to respond to make sure I didn't forget or wasn't intentionally skipping. And if I didn't respond, she'd come by my office to guilt me into going and basically pull me there. We were part of an elite group of Gen Rats. Sarah, Trisha, Kelly, Cobble, Shelly, Sue, Mo, Joe, and many others. We would all team up for 30-day squat challenges, burpee challenges, and just about every challenge that Dan and Rita, our fitness trainers, can dream up. And I'm not embarrassed to say, more often than not, Sarah was the one who won the competitions. When one of us was hurt or not up to our full running potential, Sarah would slow her roll and match our speed and took every opportunity. And even if that meant it would take us half the class to walk a mile, she'd walk it with us. Sarah and I took every fitness class you could think of, and sometimes 2 in one day. Tabata, kickboxing, strength training, boot camp, and her most favorite, Zumba. I can't even begin to share all the memories we made in Zumba because we'd be here all night, and some of them were a little irreverent. There wasn't a Zumba song that didn't finish playing without Sarah hooting, woo woo. One Halloween, Rita decided we would all dance dressed up in Halloween costumes, and Sarah arrived dressed as a zombie bride. We had some pretty fierce dance-offs, especially on Friday afternoons when everyone couldn't wait to get out of the office and start their weekend. There was even a handful of times Sarah coerced a few male partners to come dance with us. And when Sarah retired, that didn't mean her dancing days were over. I would sneak her in the side door of our group fitness classroom to join our Zumba classes. Even during the pandemic, Sarah introduced me to Magda's virtual Zumba Zoom class. During these virtual classes, everyone would need to have their laptops on mute, but that wouldn't stop Sarah. She would still be mouthing woo woo and holding up signs of encouragement that she made for us. Another passion of Sarah's was New Orleans. I've had so many conversations this week with some of Sarah's admin assistant friends that are here in the audience today. Sarah had a love for everything, especially Mardi Gras. Every year, Sarah would organize our Fat Tuesday cluster crawls where everyone would decorate their area with everything Mardi Gras. Beads, feathers, masks, we'd play jazz music, and we would walk around the office visiting with each other and enjoying all the food like gumbo, jambalaya, and red beans and rice. Then we would finish off the day with king cake. And it didn't matter who found the baby in the king cake the year before, Sarah was bound and determined to have that king cake shipped from her favorite Nola bakery. Clay and I were fortunate enough to run into Sarah, Gary, Carolyn, and Rick when we were all visiting Nola at the same time. I still laugh when I remember Sarah and I doing a Bloody Mary crawl our first day in Nola, and our hands and feet were so swollen from the salt that our shoes barely fit by the end of the day, and we could hardly walk back to our hotel rooms. As you can see from the turnout tonight, Sarah had a lot of friends. And if you weren't her friend, there was something wrong with you. She made all of us feel like we were her very best friend. Sarah made everyone feel included and was a bright light to everyone she met. When you were having a conversation, she made you feel like you were the most important person in the room. When our hubs were traveling or out with their buddies, Sarah and I shared many a martini and wine girls' night out where no subject was off limits. Sarah was such an attentive listener that made me laugh, commiserated with me when I would whine about work or life in general, but best of all, had the ability to cheer me up and change my perspective with her positive outlook. Life is partly what we make it, and the rest is made by the friends we choose. Thank you so much for being the best friend a gal from Missouri could have asked for. Fly high and rest easy, my friend. I love you to pieces and I'm missing you already. I hate public speaking, so yeah. All right, Ellis. So when my name is Kathy Miller, and I've been a friend of Sarah's for a few years now. And when Gary gave me the opportunity to say some words, I was at both a million things were in my mind, and I had a total loss for what I would possibly say to such a person. Some of it's repetitive, which warms my heart to hear how wonderful she was, and everybody really, she shared her love with everyone. So I asked my girl, all right, girl, what am I going to start with? So I went online, Mr. Google, and I found this poem, and I just kept coming back to it. So I'm just going to read it to you. It's called Remember Me. Don't remember me with sadness. Don't remember me with tears. Remember all the laughter that we've shared throughout the years. Now I'm contented that my life, it was worthwhile, knowing that I passed along the way and made somebody smile. When you're walking down the street and you've got me on your mind, I'm walking in your footsteps, only half a step behind. So please don't be unhappy just because I'm out of sight. Remember that I'm with you each morning, noon, and night. Quite often when people die, they get made to be much better people than they really were. We know that's not the case with our girl, Sarah. She really was that good. I cannot find the words to do it justice. She was the most positive person. She didn't waste time on negative things, and she didn't speak poorly of people, no matter how bad you wanted her to sometimes. She didn't dwell on things. She was a gifted listener, and as many of you know, she was up for absolutely anything. I can hear her responding, "Good Lord," after I told her a story. I can see her throwing her head back and laughing as we caught up on one of our dinners or coffees. I can see her colorful outfits and her beautiful hair dancing in the seat next to me as we drove somewhere. She was an amazing friend, a cornerstone in my life for 26 years. She was my touchstone, never more than a call or a text away, never too busy. She was simply awesome, and I am better for having known her. Gary, she loved you so much. Our conversations always consisted of her telling me about your plans and adventures. And yes, sometimes you drove each other crazy, as people who love each other do. But she always knew all that you did for her, all the traveling, all the trips, all the conversations, that you had a true unconditional love for her. She felt it, and she continues to feel it. I'm sure she does.
You were her rock. Matt and Brian, you two were kids when I met you. Being a part of your life and then your beautiful family's life brought her so much joy. Every conversation she would fill me in. We had Mima time and she'd update me on her grandsons, every single one, would get their time and she would tell me what everybody was doing. Sarah lived her dash. Why wait for tomorrow when you can choose happiness today? She taught me tons of lessons on how to live in light, even on the darkest days. And most importantly, every day can be a party, the likes of Fat Tuesday, if you surround yourself with great people. Thank you for shining your light on us, Sarah. While we were not ready to say goodbye, the memories that you left us will live on forever. I read this quote that I think sums up the impact of her on so many. There are some people who bring a light so great into the world that even after they're gone, the light remains. So in memory of Sarah, tell folks you love them, take the time to show them, and don't waste time on needless anger. Rest in peace, LS. I love you so.
Everything's written down, so I should be able to say this and not break down too much. First, I'd like to thank everyone. This room is packed full of love. Seeing you all here is such a great comfort to me. And I'd like to give special thanks to Sarah's sister, Lou, who I've nicknamed the accidental care giver. Lou booked flights a month ago to fly up here to New Jersey to see her sister, as she's done so many times before. By divine providence, Lou was at Sarah's side for the last 6 days of her life. Lou and I tried to make Sarah as comfortable as possible as the disease took its course. We were both scared. We both lacked know-how. We both lacked sleep. But what we made up for in all of our deficiencies, we made up for it with just an overabundance of love. So between the two of us, we managed to see Sarah ease into her next life as compassionately and as painlessly as possible. Could not have done this alone. No way. Thank you. From the bottom of my broken heart. Thank you. I'm sorry for the loss. Lou is our sole Heart family representative today because on Saturday, all 3 of us will fly down to Florida for a second celebration. That's to be held Monday morning. It'll be attended by all of Sarah's siblings and their families and their many dear friends. And yeah, Sarah gets 2 send-offs. Sarah was an amazing wife, sister, stepmother, grandmother. Nima, our grandsons. Michael, Kyle, David, and Mayor loved their Nima, and her visits with them were always special. Grandpa could not possibly fill the void left by Nima's passing, but I'm going to try my best. That's a promise. As you know from those who took this podium before me, Sarah was a caring and loving friend. Emphasis on friend. I knew her for 30 years, and I'm telling you the truth. Sarah never said a bad word about anyone. She never gossiped. When a friend shared a secret with her, it stayed with Sarah. I need to tell you a little story. Soon after we married, and Sarah moved up here to New Jersey. We were in a car together, driving, and she received a phone call from a friend back home in New Orleans. It was a long, emotional phone call. Sarah was compassionately pleading with her friend not to do it because so many of us love you. Please reach out for help. I surmised what this call was all about. But to this day, I have no idea who was on the other end of the phone. That's Sarah. That's a true friend. That's a rare friend. When word got out that Sarah had been placed in hospice, I began to receive emails and texts from her dearest friends. And the words they wrote were heartwarming, sometimes difficult for me to read. I've selected one of these emails, a touching testimony from her friend, Roz Estrada, to read to you. Roz, you in the house? Do I have your permission to read this? I met Sarah years ago when I entered my first Zumba class. If you know me, you know I don't like to exercise. At first, Zumba was no different. I would drag my body into class and wait for the music to begin. It wasn't long until my attention, and that for the entire class, was pulled in by this petite, wiry little redhead. Sarah's energy was boundless. She would jump around, dance, and sing out loud. Her passion for Zumba, and I would later learn for life, was pure joy. In class, it was Sarah who would inevitably start the whoop, whoop chant. As the pulsating music grew louder and our amazing Zumba instructor, Maggie, would push us harder and faster. Before you knew it, you couldn't help but join in Sarah's whoop whoop chorus. Sarah made every class better. You simply couldn't be in a bad mood around her. Over time, our Zumba classes gave way to coffee, drinks, and lunches as we created a friendship outside of class. Sarah shared some of her life stories with me, imparting life lessons that I will never forget. From marriage to parenting to paying attention to the things that matter most. I wanted more time. Me too, Rosie. But I'm deeply grateful that I knew her for even a few short years. My life is better because of it. Her friendship was like sunlight. You felt warm, nourished, and happy. Everyone should know Sarah Grieco. She is truly special. Tonight, those of us who knew her, and maybe some who don't, will say an extra prayer and send her a whoop whoop shout. Rest easy now, my dear friend. Thank you, Roz. That was beautiful. But maybe all of us don't understand the whoop whoop thing. Straight. Her Zumba people back there. Whoop, whoop. Don't worry, she won't get in trouble. She knows.
Everybody.
One,
Whoop.
2, 3.
That wasn't good enough. I found something in the basement that might help. I have no idea what this means.
is my dog. Kato is my dog. I got to meet Michael through one of our.
Yes, Michael was super.
I found it in the basement. Thank you for that. Now it's Sarah's celebration of life. The next song to be played is a very special song for the Hart family. On September 22nd, 1984, Sarah's mother and Lou's mother, Sarah Octavia Hart, was laid to rest, and this song was played at her funeral.
Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger and endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and you, it's only seed. It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. It's the dream afraid of waking that never takes the chance. It's the one who won't be taken, who cannot seem to hear. And the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live. When the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long, and you think that love is only for the lucky and the strong, just remember in the winter, far beneath the bitter snow, lies the seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose.
Well, I have to say, before we do a final prayer, when I first came here, I felt, I was afraid. I didn't know, just such a sad thing, but to hear everyone speak of Sarah, which is so uplifting and so true, and everything that was said was true, and it was Sarah. She was loved. She was just an easygoing person. And I'm going to miss her personally very, very much. So, but I know I'll see her sometime in the future. There's no question of that. So with that, I'd like to just in prayer. Lord, we are thankful for the time you gave us to share with Sarah. Thank you for giving us the strength to gather in this place to commemorate Sarah's life. May the memories of Sarah that we hold close to our hearts help to bring us warm and loving feelings whenever we think of her. Sarah, peace be with you, and we pray that we will see you again in the future. Amen.
Amen.
Again, thank you everyone for coming today. And safe travels home. And again, keep Sarah in your hearts. I'm sure you will.